Let's look at Running on Faith from Eric Clapton's Journeyman album, written by Jerry Lynn Williams. Maybe album released in 1989. I know it best actually from the 24 Nights double CD. That's what I sort of broke when listened to it a million times back in the day. So that version is obviously played with an electric guitar rather than the more acoustic original version. So we'll look at the couple of chords, sort of chord sections in it, and a little bit of the solo. The chords are really interesting. We're in standard tuning, key of G. Let's get started. Okay, guitar tone-wise, it's the first interesting thing, at least about the 24 Nights version of this song. If you just listen to it, it seems more obvious that it's not position 1, it's not down bridge. It seems as well that it's not 5 or 4, but it doesn't have the quackiness of position 2. So straight away you think it's position 3. Now the reason my ear didn't go, oh, that's obviously position 3, is that you don't actually hear it all the time. Not many people use it. So you watch the live footage and you can see, yes, he's on position 3. So Strat or a single coil, that middle position is what you're after. I've got a Fender sort of tone. Just a little bit of break up there, a little bit of reverb, and we're away. All right, the chords themselves are pretty standard, I suppose. But as I said, there's an interesting chord part of the composition that we'll look at. But think about the chords themselves as a G to a D to E minor. Again. Now G7. Okay, it's the first interesting thing there. Why? Because that G7 doesn't technically belong, but it's really nice because it leads you to the next chord, which is C. D. Then a 1-4-5, G, C, D. Okay, so pretty standard apart from the G7 there. Okay, so the right hand picking pattern, that's really what we're looking at here. Okay, so on that G5, okay, you got G for half the bar and then D, so you're changing, and then you're starting on that top string. Pretty straightforward there. Then the E minor is really an E minor 7. Now the only note I'm actually fretting there is the D. 3rd fret on the B string. So where you would normally play the E octave there, it's actually sort of the E minor 7 that way. But with the D, and you never play that B, there's sort of no point fretting it. You just got to be careful with your right hand in terms of hitting wrong strings. Okay, same part again. Now here's where you got the E minor but come down G7. So what you're doing is putting your finger on there. So again, these, if you were strumming it, it would be different, but the way he's arpeggiating it, the chord shapes look a little funny, but he's outlining a G7 there. And again, that's really interesting for Jerry Lynn Williams, who wrote the piece, because that's sort of that 5 chord going to a C chord. All right, C, and it's got that hammer on, really common with a C chord. Clapton does this all the time. Okay, just a C to a D sus2, so it doesn't have the 3rd on there. Then we're a 1-4-5 G, C, D. Okay, note the hammer on there. Okay, note the 2 hammer-ons here. Okay, that's that intro, and from there he goes into the verse where he's broadly playing the same thing. He might arpeggiate slightly different, but those are the chords. Let's look at the bridge next. Okay, so the bridge or the B section, there's not sort of an obvious chorus in this song for me, but that next section, let's have a look at that. So the chords themselves, we'll do it just like we did before. We'll look at the chords and then we'll look at the right hand picking pattern. So we have a C to a B, E minor 7, C, and then it goes to A7, back to C, D, and then we're back into the verse. Okay, so the C is pretty standard. It's like we've gone from the G, which is the 1, up to the 4 chord, really sort of standard. But then the B major here is very strange. A C with a B7 right next to it, you don't ordinarily hear. So it doesn't sound wrong, but it sounds very different. It's a very nice compositional technique. It keeps your ears interested. You don't hear this a lot. And that B, treating it as a 5 chord going to E minor. Okay, E minor. Take your finger off to get to the D. To C. And that, you descend the bass note there, hit the B because it leads you into the next chord, which is really outside for my ear, A7. Okay, again, really, there's no sort of a 5-1 cadence going there. It just kind of lands there. So very, very different sound for your ear before we come back into a C, D back around to the top. Back round to the beginning again. All right, let's have a little look at the solo. Okay, so no tabs at this part, but we're going to be soloing over the same sorts of chords there, okay? A G to a D to an E minor, but the bass is, instead of hitting a D, it's hitting the F sharp, so it's going. Okay, so you are still thinking either sort of G major pentatonic, E minor pentatonic, but he does do something interesting. So we'll talk about that. Tone-wise, I did nothing but turn on a tube screamer. Okay, so right there, we're thinking G major pentatonic is the same as E minor pentatonic instead of you can play this box. But, and he does use that, however, he uses a C as well. So technically, he's blending E minor pentatonic in terms of the shape with A minor pentatonic. Now, there's only one note difference between those two. One of them has a B and the other one has a C. Apart from that, the rest of the notes are exactly the same, and he uses both of them. So bringing in that flavor, that A minor pentatonic flavor over this is really quite interesting because there's no A minor chord sort of anywhere here, but the C really sounds beautiful to your ear. Okay, so he's starting the solo up on the 12th fret D string, and then he's going to bend up to the B. No real vibrato on there. And then there's the C. Okay, full step bend from the C to the D. Okay, really nice there. Again, you're thinking E minor pentatonic, that's where your ear would naturally go, but he's bent up from the C, so he doesn't hit the C, but it's a flavor of that C, which is really nice. Okay, and then he's got this kind of staccato E minor pentatonic. Okay, so starting again, going up the E minor pentatonic. Okay, so he's playing that kind of idea. Going up, again, E minor pentatonic looks like here, but again, he'll bring in that C. So the way he does it, he's a real second finger. He can bend full step up with his second finger and first finger. I can't do that even with nines. My hands are just, they don't have the strength for it. So fingering wise, it might be a little bit different, but essentially he's... And that vibrato. He's kind of a real, he picks and goes up, I find, instead of a down. And the next part, really nice there, we're in E minor pentatonic for sure. Okay, we're in that BB box territory. Okay, E minor pentatonic, there's no C inside, so he's sound completely different, but he's now on E minor, not the C. Okay, so this next part he's going to come back down here, but watch him bring the C in. Okay, so standard BB box. Slides down. Bends up and then hits the C. Okay, back to sort of E minor pentatonic, but again, it's really interesting how he will blend between the E minor pentatonic and then the A minor pentatonic, and no doubt he's not thinking E minor or A minor at all. He's just using his ears to bring that C in. All right, a quick look there at Running on Faith. Good luck. See you next time.